All right, today we got a new reel steel model, the Evolution. I've been wanting to try this since it first came out. It's not a very old model, so this one is actually pretty new, but it always had such a nice appeal, or it was always appealing to me. You see, it's a Carson's design. I like how this lock bar moves over, but then you also see a button on this side because it is a button frame lock. So basically, you have the frame lock, which allows for really nice disengagement and very strong lockup that you can also push over with the button. So you get to choose which way you want to use it. You want to use it like a button lock, or do you want to use it like a frame lock? So I like that. Let's go through it. So we have an S35 VN. It's somewhat of a modified drop point because it does drop, but it does clip too, right? It does have a little bit of a clip, but you know, it's because these are so subtle. I'm just going to call it a modified drop point. It's going to act just like a modified drop point. Good geometry for a robust knife. The lock is robust. It feels like a relatively robust knife while still being very slim, by the way. Super slim in the hand. That's the first thing you notice right when you pick it up. You're like, wow, that's much slimmer than I would have thought, which I like. That's good. That means it's going to be compact and easy to carry. But the lock and everything else, you know, gives you the indication that it's tough. And the cutting geometry, because it is slightly robust yet slightly slicey. So it's got that happy medium area that I think is great for a tough knife. I think this is perfect geometry for something that you consider tough, yet you don't want it absurd. You want it to still cut very well. You can see it's got good geometry, beautiful sharp control and plunger, and they did a perfect job with that. And it's also seconds as a nice finger choil. It tucks up right behind that edge, and I still feel very secure right here because I'm still locked in, so I'm not going to slide up the blade. This side has carbon fiber, and we have titanium, beautiful stone-washed titanium. You can see it does have an over-travel stop, which also might be attached to the button. Yeah, I think so. The Evolution also has a lock right here that prevents you from unlocking. It does move it still a little bit, so there is a little rattle. I'm surprised they didn't reassure that it wasn't going to be able to push it at all, but you can see it's still pushing it a little bit. When I disengage it, obviously I can go all the way, right? But it does stop you, you know, if it was going to slip or something, you know, but, you know, I just prefer to not have the rattle, you know, if you accidentally do press it. But I guess the point is just some reassurance to make it a little tougher so the lock doesn't happen to slip out of place in a tough situation, which also does make the knife a little bit tougher. Hence the reason, some of the reasons why I'm saying it is a tough knife. Typically, this isn't considered because you squeeze a frame lock. So when you're squeezing, when your hands are around a frame lock, you are making it stronger. You are stopping this lock bar from disengaging, which is very easy, by the way. It does not take very much pressure to stop a lock bar from, you know, from moving over, even under pressure. So with that said, that's, you know, already done when you're squeezing it. But if you let it go, now it doesn't have your hand. So you might want to engage that, you know, and maybe even with your hands around, you might want to engage it just to reassure that that it's not going to fail under, you know, high stress circumstances. I don't mind the lock. Typically, I'm not a big fan of them, but, you know, in this case, I can understand it. It's not, you know, the button is kind of low considering it's a frame lock, so you could potentially, I really am not landing on it, but I could potentially, maybe, possibly, I don't know. It's a safety feature, right? Nice strong lockup. We'll talk about the action here in 1 second. Full titanium backspacer. Look at that titanium backspacer. That is massive. And then it has a glass breaker back here, or an attitude adjuster. More like a glass breaker. This almost looks like it's a tool or something. I did notice that this is the stop pin right there. I'm guessing the edge is really close to the spine or something. that button does not get in the way or anything, it doesn't hit, but you can see the stop pin hits right here and right here. Now, all in all, you know, weight-wise and everything, it's got a little bit of weight, but personally, I think this is a great weight for something like this. Like I said, I consider this somewhat of a tougher knife that's still very, very, very suitable for just a regular everyday carry. Nice large knife. Like I said, very slim. The jimping is perfect. I love this jimping right here. It's sharp. It's effective. It actually locks you in. I'm not going to slide up that jimping. It's that effective. The button has nice texturing on it. This does come, I believe, in a full titanium and then this carbon fiber side. The thumb stud is nice and large. Love this thumb stud. You got a nice launch point. Now, this is on washers, by the way, which I think is cool. Would I have preferred it on bearings? Maybe. I like bearings. However, I like the thought of, because most of the knives coming out that have this similar style lock, which not a lot of them do, to be honest, most are either a frame lock or a button lock, but not a combination. But the ones that are typically are on bearings. So I like the thought, and I think most knives, not all, but most of them on button lock action are also on bearings. So I like the thought that they are giving you an option on washers, because not everybody wants bearings, and for a tougher knife, sometimes you want washers, right? The stability and the pivot is a little bit better in some cases. It just depends. There are a lot of nuances, you know, between washers and bearings. There's a lot of indicators that bearings are actually better than washers, and then there's some indicators that washers are better than bearings. Typically, washers are going to stop crud from getting in more, but once the crud does get in, you have to take apart the knife. Bearings, the crud might get in there easier, but it's much easier to rinse out without ever taking it apart. So, you know, it just depends on what's important to you. Do you want to be able to rinse your knife off without taking it apart, or do you want it to maybe, you know, hold back the crud a little bit longer? But then eventually you will have to take it apart. The edge is really nice. Oh yeah, this action. Let's go back to this action. What am I talking about? So the button, very easy to get to, very easy to actuate. Being on washers, I can feel that it needed to break in right when I opened it up. I can feel it getting smoother and smoother every time I flip it. It is not something that's just like complete fall shut. I do have to give it a little bit of momentum, but you can still do the button. That was my fault. The button flip. But I liked it, man. These thumb studs are so big, because it allows for a really nice launch pad for my thumb or the reverse flick. And like I said, the detent, well, I didn't say this, but the detent is solid. Is the centering on, or was I pushing the blade? Centering is a little bit off, but it might be. Let me just check the pivot really quick, because I have been flipping the heck out of it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's just been from me flipping it. Yeah, I imagine the washers will break in more and more. But yeah, it is a little tight, especially after I just tightened it up a little bit. Maybe I'll... There we go. Yeah, it's still centered. All right, so yeah, it's smooth, but like I said, it's fresh out of the box. This is something over 2 weeks, this thing will probably become like a guillotine, because you are moving all the pressure off of it. So yeah, this thing's gonna get really, really, really smooth. The lockup is really nice. The ergonomics are phenomenal. I like that there's a chamfer on that lock bar, making it easy to actuate as a frame lock or as a button lock. Lockup, rock solid. Yeah, rock solid lockup. Anyways, I think it's pretty damn cool. I like it. I think they did a good job on it, and I like seeing Real Steel do knives like this. See, they used to do knives like this all the time. Lately, they've been kind of sticking more in the EDC realm, which I don't blame them. I think that's a great place to be in. But I like to see them do, you know, some crazy here and there. Not that this is overly crazy, but it's damn sure really, really cool. And it's damn good looking too. I personally think this is an attractive knife. The clip is going to work just fine. You know, it's just a regular spring pocket clip. The beautiful thing about a spring pocket clip is that it functions, right? It might not be the prettiest, but it functions and it's typically comfortable in the hand. Some deep carry clips are not so comfortable in the hand. So there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Oh, wait, no, negatives. What am I doing? Negatives. Let's talk about some negatives. One negative is, and this isn't really a negative, I want to be clear. It could be considered slightly negative. The lockup is pretty late for a brand new out-of-the-box knife. Now, maybe that is something that this designer wants because maybe he wants a very strong engagement of a lock. And yeah, this typically will be a stronger lock than one that is out this far off of the bat. But the lock face geometry is typically what determines that. Yes, stronger lockup can in cases be stronger, but in a lot of cases it's just the lock face geometry. I've seen lockups that are like 90% that'll slip and ones that are only 10% that won't fail at all. So it does depend on lock face geometry, but this one being at like 75%, you know, it's already, you know, eaten up half or most of the life as far as how far the lock bar is going to move over. And, you know, as you're squeezing it, you're going to squeeze it more and more into engagement. Do I think that's a big deal in this case? No, not really. I think that I have knives that are at 100% right now that have been for like 2 years and are still rock solid. So, you know, I think you'll get plenty of life out of this. There's still a lot of life left. And it's not even the life, you know, it's all about the lock face geometry. So me saying that, it's neither here nor there. Time will tell. That's basically what it is. Time will tell. The next thing, I wish these were T8s. Why not make these T8s or T10s? If you're going to have, I think this is a T10 pivot. Or T9. These are T6s. Either way, it's either T8 or T10 or T9 pivot, but these are T6s. I want these to be the same as what this is, whatever this is. If it's T8, I'd rather be just T8s all the way around, even on the steel lock bar insert. Give me T8s. That way I don't have to fumble around with 2 different drivers to take my knife apart. And number 2, T6s strip out so much easier than T8s. You know, the larger the bit, or sorry, the larger the head on the torque bit, the stronger the screw will be, or stronger, you know, the teeth will be inside the screw for you to utilize. Next thing, it does not have a reversible clip. That would have been smart since it's a straight clip. Oh, no, maybe it is. Actually, you know what? I think it is a reversible clip. I'm sorry, I take that back. I think it is a reversible clip. Yeah, and that's good because it's a button lock. So, you know, this can be used right and left-handed. So, the only thing is that when you're left-handed, you can stop yourself from unlocking. You got to grip it back here and then fold it shut. You get used to it really quick. Next thing. You know, bearings, you know, like I said, I'm happy to see this thing on washers. You know, I accept washer knives, you know, with open arms. But I can't lie when I don't say I wouldn't like to feel this thing on bearings just to see how it feels. I love knives on bearings. I think this would be a great one to have multi-row bearings. But, you know, not that big of a deal. I think it's still very awesome, and I like it a lot. And I'm not even sure if I would change it because I'm interested in seeing how smooth this thing gets in the next, you know, couple days. But I really don't have a lot of negative, guys. This thing, it's solid, man. It's a good knife. I like it a lot. However, do I think it's worth the price they're charging, which is, at least right now, prices are always subject to change. Always check the links down in the description. But at the time I'm posting this, $255. Not sure if there's any sales or coupons or anything. If there is, I'll have it all linked down in the description, but $255. Now, between the carbon fiber show side one and the full titanium one, you're talking about nearly, what is it? It's 0.8, so one's 5 ounces, one's 5.8 ounces. So nearly a whole ounce more if you get the full titanium one. So that definitely brings down quite a bit of weight with the carbon fiber one. So put that in consideration. But $255, I'm not mad at it. Yeah, I wish the steel was a little bit more of an upgraded steel than S35, but I like S35. I have no problem with S35. S35 is a healthy steel. It's a good steel, quality steel. You know, it's going to hold a good edge. It's plenty tough, great corrosion resistance. You know, it's been a very highly regarded steel for a long time now. Granted, we have a ton of other steel options out there now. So, you know, it's being bumped down a little bit, but $255 for something of this caliber, I'm not mad at it at all. I think this is a fine price. And yeah, I think it's damn good. For sure, damn good. So great work, Real Steel. So there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.